We got a question in the chat. The question goes, are there guys in relationships on 100 plus first dates and did not see any good girlfriend candidates? So I'm assuming this means that you've gone out with 100 women and you didn't see any good girlfriend candidates, right? So first off, I'll say kudos to getting 100 dates. Like, that's hard for almost any guys to get. Most guys struggle to get even 10 dates in their lifetime. So you getting 100, fantastic. I would need to know what your vetting process is, because a lot of that is based on what kind of things you're actually looking for in women. And also, I've said on the show before that men oftentimes process things way faster than women do. So like, whereas men after 2 or 3 dates are ready to basically wife up a woman typically needs 2 or 3 months to solidify her feelings and do some vetting, right? So the downside of a man's approach is that we can also go on dates where it's like, after one date, we're like, maybe she didn't kiss me, or I wasn't feeling a vibe. And so, she's not going to be any good. She's out. And I think guys can also do a better job at not assessing so quickly. Like, if you're going on 100 first dates and none of those women ended up working out, that tells me that you're rushing through your analysis process and you're not giving them a chance to really like go out more than one time to really see, okay, so let me see what they're about. Because, hey, for all the things that men say about women being like, oh, women just, well, whatever. The reality is that, there are women out there that are also shy on first dates and that maybe are apprehensive and nervous, and maybe they don't want to be touchy-feely that first date because they don't want to give away too much, or they don't also know the process of how dating works. Because let's be real, a lot of people these days, men and women, are growing up in single-parent households, especially if they grew up with single moms that don't know how to teach them how to act. Or they've been around a mom that said like, well, just focus on your studies, don't focus on men. And so they haven't learned what flirtation looks like. They haven't learned what signals to show a guy that indicate that she's open to more than just, touching and hand holding on a date, And so just like I say with women, you got to give a guy more than one date. Some of these women, it might behoove you to say, okay, maybe I wasn't feeling a complete spark on that first date, but we had a good conversation. She was cordial enough. She smelled nice. And so maybe I should give her a couple more dates before I completely reject her, because getting a big amount of first dates is great, but we really want to look for, what things are you bypassing? Or when you're saying yes to these dates, what kind of women are you saying yes to that you end up not really liking in the long run, So consider those things. Look at like how you're dating and the women that you're inviting on dates and seeing, what you're looking at and assessing, because there could have been women within that crop of 100 that maybe were great dates, but you just really didn't like analyze them in the way that gave them the benefit to give them more chances to see how they could work out. So just some food for thought. He says, it's hard being 49. Women in their 40s are insufferable and not open to new guys. I actually do better with women 18 to 35, but I'm not the target of the women who are serious about relationships. So, well, the reality is, I helped a guy a couple of years ago who is now 43, and his wife just turned 34, I think. And that age range worked for them, and in my past, I dated women who were about 10 to 12 years younger than me. I found for me successfully, most women that I've dated successfully have been closer to my age, if not actually a couple months older, and I'm 43 now. So I will say this, that I think you being 49, I think your dating pool is actually good because you can make it a lot bigger. And I never had the best success dating women under 20. So I would say in terms of you look at women that are going to be more serious, your best age range, honestly, funny enough, this is the age range that Kevin Samuels used to call the danger zone for women. And that's ages like 27 to like 33, because they're just old enough to where ideally they're out of the party phase. They're out of the phase where they think they're the hot stuff and that any guy wants them. And they're starting to realize, okay, I'm getting to those ages where if I wait too much longer, it's going to be harder to have kids. And you being 49, I'm going to assume maybe you don't want kids. So it is what that can make it harder also. I always told women up front, I don't want kids. So I had to contend with that. But suffice to say that yeah, at that age, you're thinking, okay, I realize at some point my looks are going to start to go, and my girlfriends around me are starting to be in more super serious relationships. And so I need to figure out what that looks like for me, because if I like a 27-year-old woman is looking at like, okay, if I start dating a guy now, minimum 2 years of dating before we even talk about marriage. And there's going to probably be another year-long like engagement. So if I'm 27 now, if I start dating somebody today, by the time we get super serious enough for marriage, I'll be 30. And then how much longer do I want to wait within that window to have to wait longer, you know? And so I would say for your age range, I'd say 27 to 35 or 34 or so would be a good age range pocket. Now, at 49, you could very well find a woman that's in her late 30s to early 40s. That's also great. I've met some of those women. I do recognize that those women typically have more relationship baggage, whether it's because they have kids and they've been divorced before, or they've dated so long that they're very rigid in the things that they want and aren't willing to tolerate and sacrifice certain things, and they can be harder to date. But they are out there, and they are women that are also looking for love and that can be good candidates. But again, I'm saying if you're looking for women that are ranging from like not being in their party phase and not being completely burned out or have complete baggage, that 27 to 35 is a good pocket to go. If you're on dating apps, you can set your limit to those ages and be perfectly fine. But also, as I said, get yourself out there more, network in different places, and also understand too, at 49, you got to recognize that as we get older, we tend to be stuck in our ways too. And we want things to happen the way that we want them. And it can be very easy to be like, don't want to have to try to sacrifice what I want to do or compromise things for this other person, or don't want to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm 49, I can do what I want to do. And there's no wrong answer to that, but just understand that you have to recognize within yourself that there may be things that you are also not wanting to give up or compromise on that could be to the detriment of a long-term relationship. So consider that. But hey, at the age that you're at, you're ideally more successful. You have more money for yourself. You're a bit more stoic in the way that you live life. Less things bother you. And women in the age range of 27 to 35 are going to really, really like that, especially if like at that age range, they dated enough bozos to kind of know what a good man looks like. And seeing you, they should see that you're a good man, all right? And they're going to follow your lead a lot easier because if they've been dating up to that point and haven't gotten to a relationship, they're a bit more open to the idea that maybe they don't want to carry the burden. They've worked at jobs enough to know, like, maybe I don't need to be the breadwinner. Maybe I can, like, listen to a guy and follow his leadership. And within that age range, they're a bit more open to that. So just consider that and keep me posted on how your dating life is going. Hopefully the stuff that I'm putting out there is helping you out in your journey. And I'm always open to answer questions. Somebody said here, 28 here, any woman I've tried to date above 30 may have unintentionally put a lot of pressure on me. Not from, and then the other guy said 27, 33 are looking for no kids, never married dudes. And then the other guy says, not from my experience, 27 to 30, you can be right depending on the girl. 30 plus, most women I know have a huge epiphany and are looking to get married a year ago and wanted kids yesterday. Well, I will say this, that part is true. I have found the older women get, especially when you get into their like past 35, especially if they want to have kids, they're racing the clock. Like the clock's ticking. I want to have a kid today than yesterday. Guess what, though, guys? Just because they want that, it doesn't mean that A, that they'll get it, and B, that they're not willing to wait for the right guy at his pace. Like the reality is, women would rather not rush into a relationship with a guy that in the long term they don't have high attraction for and that they don't see potential for. And so what that means is that, let's say she's 38. Let's say this guy, right? He's 49. So let's say he meets a 38-year-old, knocks his socks off, and she has all the things he ever wanted, right? And she's talking that stuff about like, well, I mean, I want to get into a serious relationship because ideally I'll be married within the next year, blah, 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 blah. If I were him, you know what I would say? I would say, well, we'll see how it goes. I'm not looking to rush stuff because honestly, like even if we get along great, I know that building a relationship and a rapport takes time, and getting to know another person takes time. And that could easily take me like a year or two. So I'd say to them, if that's not on your time schedule, that's totally fine. We can keep things the way they are, or we can just see other people. And then if we decided later on that we want to get resituated, we can see how it goes. But I need you guys to understand that at the end of the day, women want to follow the lead of a man. And too many men are in the habit of thinking that they have to cater to a woman and follow her schedule. And to be fair, on this channel, I say, when you're dating a woman, you kind of have to go at her pace as it pertains to like, when to get into the relationship, when to hook up, etc. But ultimately, women are looking to follow your lead and see you as the leader and follow your plan. And too many guys, their plan is, I'll just do what she wants to do. So they think, well, if I want to keep her, I gotta propose to her within a year and I gotta have a kid within a year. And I've seen those relationships. And what will happen is this. The guy, thinking he needs to follow the woman's lead, will do all the stuff that she wanted, and then cut to they have a kid within a year, they get married within a year and a half, and then cut to the woman being like, I think we just rushed things and it was too soon. Now, the guy thought that early on, but he also thought, but no, if I want to keep her, I got to do what she wants to do. And then they get bitten in the end with her complaining that it's too soon and they rush things and blah, 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 blah. So understand, just because a woman has a wish list of when things should be happening, it doesn't mean it's a great timeline, and they're still looking for you to have better judgment on what that looks like. So to this guy's point, just because she wants to rush into having a kid and being in a relationship, that's not going to be beneficial, especially if they do that. Like I have a friend that said like, oh, I want to get married within a year and whatever, this and that. And I had to tell her, but if you rush it and then you have the kid and then you realize after that you guys weren't compatible, now you have a kid with somebody that it wasn't going to work out with long-term, that you're going to be fighting with all the time now. And then every time you look at that kid, you're reminded of the guy that got you the kid that you don't like anymore. So understand, this is why I tell you guys, like, don't think that women's emotions are things you should be led by, because their feelings change on a dime. And you cannot follow a woman's lead in part because if her lead is based on what she's feeling in the moment, the plan that she has today could actually be a bad plan long-term that she's going to recognize at some point, even if in the moment she's not recognizing that. All right. So just some food for thought. Guy said, I'm also hampered by being in a smaller metro and cannot move. That sucks. Like, and here's the thing. Those are choices that we make. Like when I lived in, I lived in Virginia. I was born in Virginia, raised in Virginia. I knew being in Virginia, it's not that like, Richmond or Hampton don't have like a decent enough population, but I was primarily in the suburbs. Me being in the suburbs, unless I'm driving out consistently to the metro area, I'm not going to meet a lot of women. And so I had to move to different areas. I moved to Atlanta. I now live in LA, where I knew there'd be an abundance of people in those places to meet should I decide to. So these are all choices we make. So I don't know why you can't move. It could be, I don't know what the reason is, whether it's your job, whether it's you have family you're taking care of. But at the end of the day, these are all choices. And so you're making a choice, whether you want to say it is or not, you're making a choice to stay where you're at, which means you're only open to the pool of women that are around you. Now, you have to ask yourself, have you actually exhausted all possibilities of meeting any women ever? Because even in a town with a small population, you're not meeting every woman. Like you're on a dating app, you're swiping here and there, and you're matching with certain people, but you're not meeting all women. Are you going to, networking events? Are you going to certain classes? Are you going to activities where there'll be other people there? I had a guy I met recently. No, I did an interview. I did an interview with a guy that's going to be coming up shortly where I asked him how he met his wife. And he was like, yeah, he was a guy he used to be into poker. And so he would go from state to state where he would be giving instructions to guys on how to do poker stuff. And it just so happened that she eventually joined that team and started help with some of the classes he was doing. And so he met her that way. He wasn't going out there trying to meet anybody. He was content being a guy that teaches poker and goes state to state doing that. And in the process, this girl came on the team. They met, they clicked, they got married. They've been together 10 years and married for 3 years. But he wasn't seeking that out. But also, he was going to different locales and meeting people. Now, obviously, I'm not a fan of long distance relationships, but I've also found if you meet women as you're out and about living your life, whether it's you're traveling, going to different places, you will find that if you build a rapport with that woman, you keep in touch with her, women will start to like you enough to where they'll say, hey, I need a reason now to live near this guy because I really, really like him. But if you're not leaving open that possibility, then yeah, your pool's going to be short. So again, I don't recommend outwardly seeking out people that are long distance, but if in your travels and going out there and just trying to make yourself known, you meet other women, then that's the way to connect with people outside of your metro area where you can start talking to them and you can start building rapport. You can try to see each other back and forth. And I'd say that as a caveat, because again, I'm not the guy that's going to be preaching the whole do long distance dating thing, right? My thing is this: if you are going to do that, there needs to be intentionality behind this is going to be for a finite amount of time. And then if we feel this is working out, either me or this other person is going to move. Ideally, she's going to move to you because that typically works out a lot better. This guy says, I have custody and tenure. Yeah, so like I said, so again, those are still choices, but I understand the thing, especially with custody, it gets difficult because you're sharing it with another person. So obviously it makes it hard to maneuver and move out of state. And with tenure, that means you got whatever job you had, you got really good pay going on. So again, if that's a situation, you got to look at, okay, this is my current situation. you have one or two options. You can use that as an excuse to not meet women, or you can say, these are my situations. So in what way can I actively go out there and meet women in a way that's going to be conductive and conducive to what my current lifestyle is? Because given your current lifestyle, which again is a choice, I'm not saying give that up. I'm saying there are ways to still have the lifestyle that you're having and meet women. And you have to figure out what those things are versus, because here's the thing. I'm just a guy that never buys into like, woe is me, because my life is this way, I have to have built-in excuses to not get what I want. I fully believe that people can get the things that they want regardless of their situation. They just have to figure out a way to work it out. So you got custody, you got tenure. Custody means that you don't have your kid. Well, it could mean you have wherever kid you have all the time. It could be part of the time. So whether your ex or whatever is able to have custody part of the time, or whether you're able to have people that are able to look after your kid, you have ways to build in dating, because you clearly said you've been dating. So you have ways to build in dating, and you have ways to build that in a way where you can find the kind of women that you want. And if you've exhausted all possibilities in the location that you're living at, then I would say it's time to bring in recruits, or it's time to figure out different ways to meet women that are willing to come to you, whether they're, a town over, a city over, a state over, whatever, but as nearby to you as possible. Okay. But at the end of the day, like I said, you have to look at your situation and decide if you want to date and you want a woman, then you got to find ways to make that work versus having the excuse of like, all the women I've dated are dumb and stupid, and I've just exhausted all possibilities or whatever, because they are out there. Again, at the age that you're at, your dating range legitimately is from like 23 to like 48. Somewhere within that range in your town, there's a woman there, or several women there that would date you. Whether you found them or not, it's a different story, but they are available. I've been in towns that are seemingly hard to date in and managed to find women. So you got to look at that, because again, I just don't want you thinking, coming up with the excuse of like, I just can't do it. It's a wrap. If you choose to make that excuse, you're making the choice to be single, and you're in your right to make that. I don't know why you'd be watching this channel if you want to just be single, but it is what it is. But about on this channel, I'm all about self-responsibility and making things happen. You can make things happen. You just got to look at how that's going to be possible. Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Harry Dating Convos. Don't forget to visit HarryWilmington.com to download my free ebook, Texting Women Like a Boss. And while you're there, if you're ready to take things to the next level with your dating life, check out the Get Girls Academy membership program for exclusive strategies and live coaching. Go to HarryWilmington.com to learn more and join today. Lastly, if you've got a question you'd like answered on one of these shows, leave a comment below or write me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.